Okay, folks, Sunday. Uh, got up pretty early. I think I was out at the garage around 8, and then didn't break for lunch again. And I think it's around 5. 5, yeah, somewhere in there. So, yeah, I'm still trucking along. And, haha, see what I did there? Okay. And, well, I made quite a bit of progress. The brakes are bled, uh, steering column's all in. I'll turn it around here in a second. I set the I did set the truck down what I think is ride height if I measured everything right without the tires. So I haven't really tightened or messed with the front suspension too much, other than to get rid of the cattywampus camber that was in there, so at least doesn't look so goofy. I went to go put the radiator in, but the grill's at the painter. He's needing it for the surround because that has to get fitted and gapped. Let's see, what else should I do? Brakes. Um, yeah, I think that's it. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the little tiny stuff that kind of holds you up. The big news is, let me turn this around. This table's gone. So everything's back onto one table now, and the boxes are quickly disappearing. So let me just walk around. I've tightened pretty much all the suspension bolts, um, both the lower control arms, front and rear. The shocks are all done. The 3-link upper is done. The one in front still is in. It looks like the nut fell off already. So I'll put another nut on there. I've still got to double check I didn't get a chance to do that before I started the video. Steering column is in. Lines are all run. They're bled. I pressure bled it. Seems like it works pretty good. I'll probably just double check it once the old-fashioned way. But it's going pretty well. I did swap the discs left to right, so the rights are on the left and lefts are on the right, so they're rotating correctly. I've went ahead and torqued everything. I've cotter keyed the uprights, so those are all done. Like I said, I was going to go install the radiator and stop short. I feel like I did something on the engine. I can't see what I've completely done on it. Back on this side, the reservoirs are all in, and so they sell, or they provide, the bulkhead connectors. I opted not to use those. I went ahead and made a very precise hole in there, and that way you don't see so many hose clamps in there. Trying to keep it clean, and since that's all on one panel, it's not going to move, so the chafe issue should not be a thing. Let me back this up. The one thing I still need to do, now the steering column is in, but nothing's really torqued. I centered the steering rack, so the steering rack is centered. But then I was like, well, I need to make sure that the turn signal return is like the steering column is centered, and it turns out it's not. So probably tomorrow I will I'll unhook some part of it and then get the I don't know what you even call it, the clock spring or whatever for the turn signal to be in the center of the steering column, so equidistant left and right. It activates the automatic self-canceling. Let me take so you see the suspension is pretty much straight. Yeah, so got to get a belt. So I measured that up already. Everything else seems, I think, like it's okay. Yeah, I mean that's really all I did, and then just pick up, clean up, torque everything down, run around the truck 3 or 4 times, make sure I'm not missing anything. Getting the brakes all bled and the arrangement on the master cylinder reservoirs. Trying to figure out. Let me go back. Trying to figure out how to make that look. I was gonna go even straight across. Ultimately, I figured this arrangement was better. It let me tuck them together, and you're less apt to see it be off at an angle, and it's easily fixed if it is. And my OCD in me would just be crushed if they're off angle. So I'm sure I'll get it. I actually had an angle finder on it, just FYI. So, yeah, torqued all the motor mount bolts. I know we talked about those several times, but let's see. Yep, those are all torqued up, so that's good. Both sides, and the motor mounts and the mount, the brackets. So that's all done. Yeah, it's a bunch of little stuff today. Put all the grease fittings on everything, so that's all done. So I'll go ahead and grease that sometime this weekend. That's like busy work. Yeah, all in all, this thing is ripping right along. The fact that we got brakes is good for go-kart stage, so should get wheels and tires this week. And yeah, so yeah, overall I'm going to keep working on the wiring. I've got to get the starter plugged in. I've got to get the battery cables run. I'll probably do that tomorrow or something like that. I've got a big box from Amazon. What I'm gonna do, I think the factory still has you like ground the engine, which you need to do, and then you ground the battery to the frame, and then use the frame as the ground. I've had good luck with that. Ultimately, I just for sanity's sake, I'm gonna run a battery cable all the way. I use 0 gauge or 1 from the battery right to the starter bolt, and then the battery to the cutoff switch, and then that to the start solenoid, and that usually clears any issues, and I don't have to go back and mess with it. And since I'm not going to be working on this truck afterwards, I figured it's one less thing they have to check. Other than that, yeah, big progress, I think. Boxes are slowly going away. Garage is coming back. I don't really have any boxes underneath the truck, so headers, all that will be here this week. Wheels and tires. We have brakes. I've got to get the electronics or the wiring all done. I was actually going to do that today and just fool you guys and bump it, but I forgot I still need a fuel line. So I've got gas already. I went and bought that today. So I would say first start is, I don't know, 4 days away maybe. Friday's my day off. I've got to reposition my car to a car show. So hopefully by this weekend it's running. So stay tuned. Talk to you tomorrow.